with you. Murder of crows, filling the sky like UFOs. I am your kind. Frankenstein, lying in wait of lightning strikes, falling like fate to come alive, screaming, take me with you. This old world has never been home to me. Take me with you. I'm a million light years from where I ought to be, bearing witness to a murder of crows. Unlock my cage, children of earth. I share your blood, I share your birth. Am I alone, screaming, take me with you. This old world has never been home to me. Take me with you. I'm a million light years from where I ought to be, bearing witness to a murder of crows. Take me with you. This old world has never been home to me. Take me with you. I'm a million light years from where I ought to be, bearing witness to a murder, to a murder, to a murder of crows.
Welcome to the Everything After Podcast. I'm Rob, and my guest this week is Brian Bacon, a Cincinnati singer-songwriter who has also spent some time in Cleveland with a soulful with a folk rock sound and 2 albums, including the latest, Murder of Crows, released last September, which is a sort of gothic folk rock opera. Thanks for being on the podcast, Brian.
Thank you for having me, Rob.
So, Murder of Crows, like, I don't know if you can tell, like for my Instagram, for my whole everything after brand and all that stuff in my posters. Counting Crows is like my big band. Like that's the band that I've like followed for 30 years. So Murder of Crows was just like really hit home for me. But let's talk a little bit about that album.
Sure.
Tell
What
me
would you
about
like to know?
well, tell me about it. The rock opera
Yeah.
aspect of it, I think is really interesting. I spent some time listening to it today, and I'd like you to tell me a little bit about the through line that you see, the story.
Yep.
You reference a lot of characters in this, and I can't help but listen to this. Anytime somebody's like, there's a name of somebody in a song, I can't help but wonder what that person's story is, where that person's coming from.
There
You
are a
know,
lot
it's
of
sort of like,
names.
yeah,
So,
and you know, like just it's the storyteller in me, like that. I want to hear, I want to know the stories of these people, how they came into your life, how they influenced it, why you ultimately wrote a song about this person or with this person's name. And so, tell me about some of the characters in Murder of Crows.
okay, so we're dealing with a bunch of people who are trapped or somehow truncated in their lives, and some of them reaching a crossroads. Maybe they're aware of the crossroads that's coming up, maybe only the listener is, but the through line is kind of like these characters that have this inner life that, whether they like it or not, is pushing through and bringing them to the big decision that they have to make in their life, which I think this is where the Midwestern Gothic storytelling comes in. The classic Midwestern Gothic tale is all about people who get to the crossroads and decide to stay home and not explore the
Yeah.
what's on the other side. So, as a person who grew up here with not a lot of people, holding up a big example of me of what it means to be a creative person and try to actually do that with your life. And in fact, a lot of people actively discouraging it. That is something, standing at that crossroads is something that I lingered long there, and so I think that this album was me really reflecting on the decision to try to get out there and be more of an exploratory person.
Yeah.
And yeah, just reflecting on that decision and thinking over like what I left behind to do it.
Yeah. So it starts with you at a crossroads, but you
Yep.
bring in some of these other characters that you sort of imagine at various crossroads of their own and
Yep.
various sort of points in their life dealing with, sort of different circumstances.
Yep.
The album, if you listen to it, like I could almost fill in some of the blanks between the songs. I mean, it's really interesting because it goes from like it starts out and it's almost got, I don't know if this is intentional, but it's almost got sort of a spiritual feel to it in the beginning, and it's sort of sweeping and kind of broad, like the crow, like sort of opening its wings kind of thing. It's
Right.
very sort of like connected, I think, in a sort of a natural sense. And then by the time it gets to um, nice girl in the city, and it's and then it sort of picks up, and it's got this sort of like it starts to tell a little bit of a different story, and
Yep.
it's kind of it's a love story, but it's sort of an unrequited sort of thing. It's just like it's like someone sort of yearning for like a certain kind of love, certain kind of relationship. And I think that's very interesting. And then it sort of goes through these chapters, and so you trying to fill in the blanks and stuff, I think, is very interesting in this album. So tell me
Yeah,
about.
I'm glad to hear you say that because that is really how I was hoping the storytelling would work. I wasn't I wasn't really attached to a specific narrative, and I didn't want to stay with one character through like multiple songs. I kind of just wanted to give this composite of like little points,
Mhm.
just these little glimpses that you get of these moments in these people's lives that say so much about their life and so much about the life of the community that they're in.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm a kind of a big movie person. I don't know. I think television lately, some of the storytelling that's been happening in television too, obviously, is very epic. And but
Yeah.
I could almost see this as like one of those sort of ensemble pieces where you have a lot of that. You're starting out and then you're telling a lot of sort of disparate stories about these different
Yep.
characters, and then somehow they connect.
Yeah.
In some way,
So
in some surprising way,
it
which I think is really interesting. It's almost like a White Lotus kind of thing here. You know?
right. Yeah. Like how do these people's timelines run together? I might be interested to explore that someday. The feedback that I get all the time when I go down to National Songwriter rounds is you write like modern Broadway. Like they're,
Mhm.
I don't get that feedback when you go to a town like Nashville where it's so saturated with musicians, it kind of helps bring into focus what really sets you apart. And I think Nashville writers tend to look at my writing as having a very theatrical aspect to it.
Yeah.
So I get that feedback down there a lot. It's like, wow, you've really brought to life this little community, and everybody seems to want to hear it like merged together at some point. My
Right. Right.
background is I have my college degree was in theater, so it's kind of
Okay.
a natural. And
That's great. Yeah.
I've done other types of writing before. Like I was writing a comedy podcast for a while.
Oh,
Um,
really?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Awesome.
So there might come a time in my life where I revisit the murder of crows and
Yeah.
try to figure out how they interrelate with each other.
I think that'd be excellent. I'd love to see that. I mean,
It would
it'd
be
be
fun.
great.
It would be a
It'd
fun
be great
challenge.
on stage. It'd be, yeah, even in a novel form, I think would be really interesting. I want to talk more about your background, but like, I don't want to stray too far from the record right now, which is
Yeah,
what I've had the most recent experience here with. But still, just sort of talking about some of these characters, I wanted to say that your character in the No Hero song, I think his name's Travis. Is that right?
Nathan.
I have something in common with him, and it's not that I have dreams about, maybe murdering one of my neighbors or something, but I have to admit that sometimes I sing the Dolly parts on Islands in the Stream. I sing the
Yeah,
Kenny parts too, but you got to sing both.
yeah.
I like that one a lot. I like that song quite a bit.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. I liked. It's a great record. I mean, it's like I said, there's range. It's chapters in a story to me, and by the
Yeah,
end, I think it ends on a positive note with "Okay Doke," which I think is great too.
yeah. Yeah, it's I wanted to end it on a positive note because like ultimately, whichever you decide, whichever you if you decide like some people want the life where they know what their role is and they fit right in there.
Yeah,
And even if they're making trade-offs with some version of their inner self, that's what they want. And other people like me decide to go a different direction, and either one of those choices is valid. I didn't really want to turn it into a morality play, you know,
yeah, yeah.
and I wanted it to feel like there is some kind of catharsis in just listening to these people's stories one way or the other.
Right.
So,
Well, in screenwriting and playwriting, the only thing that really matters is how it ends, whether it's a
yeah,
drama or a comedy. And if it ends in a positive note, you've got a comedy on your hands. So,
right.
how do you feel about Murder of Crows being a comedy?
Well, I'm good with that. Like, I think that the contemporary songwriting scene, sometimes I worry that it's becoming a little bit too reverent. It's going in a really rootsy direction right now. And I think that's great in terms of the conversation that we're having about representation right now. I mean, I think it's necessary and long overdue, but it's hard for me to be too reverent for too long. There is a there is a uh, always a voice inside that wants to make a joke out of everything. So I don't have any trouble at all slipping into the comedic. There's a fine line between, magnificent and grand, and that being something that's very exciting, and going one step beyond that where it becomes like grandiose and kind of a joke. And
Yeah,
I really like finding that line and riding right on it if I can.
we got to find ways to laugh at ourselves and laugh at our situations, don't we? I mean, it's the only way we
Yeah.
sometimes can keep going. But I'm curious, like, are there people in these songs, though, that are people in your lives that are recognize themselves in these songs? Are there people who say, like, okay, I know I'm Bruce, I know I'm Travis, I know that sort of thing?
I doubt it. So I've merged several stories together for most of them. And the ones
Mhm.
where I didn't merge several stories together, like Bruce is something that I recall from I was very young when my family knew the family that Bruce is about.
Okay.
And, it's just all, I used some information in that song so my dad was a football coach in a small town in Ohio growing up. And so, like, we ran into a lot of family stories, just because football's important in small towns in Ohio. Well, it's important everywhere in Ohio, but like, as a football coach, you get invited into people's family drama in a way that you don't get invited in when you're not the football coach.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So for that song, like I merged a little bit of that in, foundationally, like my family's not in touch with the family that story happened to. My mother heard the song and thought I was talking about somebody completely different. But she
Okay.
right away she thought she knew who I was talking about. So
Yeah. Huh.
it's
Okay.
so that one, Nice Girl. Like I was just riding my bike through Tremont, and I don't know something about the young guys parking the car, the valet guys.
Yeah.
It was just kind of cracking me up because like these guys, I mean, they looked like one of them was definitely like really hungover, and another one was like looking like he was not in the mood to do anything. Definitely not going to be parking any cars today. But meanwhile, like they're like parking these cars for like these beautiful women get out of the passenger side of the
Yeah.
car, and then these dudes drive off with their menial jobs, and they're much different lives than the guys that are taking these women out. And I was
Yeah.
just like, oh, buddy, I feel for you.
Yeah. How many of them do you think pull a Ferris Bueller and just like take the car for a joyride?
It makes you wonder, it makes so I mean that whole character just popped into my head just riding my bike by and witnessing 2 seconds of somebody's life.
Yeah. Isn't
Um,
that great how that happens? Like
yeah,
inspiration comes from anywhere,
yeah.
doesn't it?
Charlie, so like in Charlie, there's this there. So Keep the Lights on Charlie is an interesting title because Charlie never gets to speak in that song. Charlie is just being lectured through the whole thing. So he's just this kid.
I don't know why for some reason I pictured Charlie from the Chocolate Factory. Like,
Right, yeah, right.
I mean, that's just
Cheer
like
Up Charlie, I think, was on my mind
yeah,
when I wrote that song.
yeah.
And so that one, like, it starts off with the premise is Charlie has overslept on a Saturday, which probably means he slept in until 7:30 a.m. And now some guy from down the street is there to help fix the water tank and needs Charlie to like hand him tools while he's crawling underneath. And Charlie's going to get yelled at all morning.
Yeah,
And so, I mean, that story got merged from like, as an adult, the water tank at my house broke, and I don't know how to fix a water tank. I was assuming I was going to call Home Depot, but no, like the neighbors swarmed in. And now I'm like, after that happened, I'm like, okay, great. I'm very grateful for the help.
yeah.
Super grateful. And these people are the best, but I cannot return this favor, so I do not know what is like now I have this awful weight hanging over my head.
I feel that, man. Yeah, I feel that. Like constantly, you're gonna be like burdened with that albatross. It seems like that's great.
Yes, right. So I just, it's funny how that song came about. Like I hung that albatross on a kid.
Well, that's cool. Well, check this album out. It's really good. Like it's streaming all over the place, right, Brian? It's
Yeah,
on
all the
everywhere.
digital distribution is everywhere. So yeah,
Yeah. So this is your second album, right?
yeah, that's right.
And tell me a little bit about how you got started in music and
Sure.
started writing music
Yeah. So I have been writing since I was a really little kid, composing little tunes and songs.
Mhm.
Literally, the first one that I wrote down was on my 10th birthday. So it's been something that I've wanted to do my whole life. And I took a long time off. I tried to quit. I was raising kids. I was living in Cleveland raising kids, and
Mhm.
there just didn't seem to be any opportunity to do it. So I kind of just tried to keep the spirits buried deep in the well.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then as my kids got older and I started to realize that, my parenting could change and they didn't need me to be there as often. And in fact, it was probably better for them if, I started giving them opportunities to do things independently. It freed up a lot of time for me. And I started to see that there is a time is coming very rapidly when they are going to move off on their own. And I am going to have a life ready
Right,
to go because I'm not going to die immediately. I got to
right,
find something else. I got to
right.
find something else to not become a dud, in my older
Yeah,
age. So I
yeah,
started to write songs again.
yeah.
And that was the beginning of the journey that I am still on.
I feel that, that's kind of how I got started. This podcast got started, and my kids. I have a son who's in his third year of college. My daughter just started college this year. Sort of feeling some of
Yep.
the same things. Like, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
And I started like I've always been in journalism and everything, and writing, and I've always enjoyed taking pictures always had a camera, like enjoyed photography, and so I started like buying concert tickets for this summer. And then I had met a guy recently who was doing some concert photography, and I thought I'd really like to do that.
Yeah,
And so I had him connect me with a guy and started doing this concert photography thing, and then that sort of turned into something else, and that turned into something else, and then it became a podcast, which sometimes you just got to follow things to wherever they take you. And I just felt like I was willing to do that, just to say yes and see how things go and see how they
yeah,
pan out, and still kind of
yep,
taking shape. But I certainly feel that, Brian.
yeah,
So when you were like, okay, so you just getting right back into it, which I think is great, resurgence and all that sort of thing, reinventing. But initially, like, where did your like did you grow up in a musical family, or like
well,
what sort of
I mean,
who were your influences, I guess?
yeah, I mean, we went to church every Sunday, so I heard a lot of church music. And the thing about church music, and it was old-fashioned church music, so like from the 20s and before. So
Yeah.
that stuff still has some chord movement in it. There's a lot of, I won't get too much in the theory because I know nobody likes to talk about that, but like there's chord movement that's borrowed more from classical music and the old hymns.
Yeah.
And I learned how all that stuff works from listening to it at church and then picking it out on a keyboard at home. And I had a really, really, I'm grateful for my audacious grade school music teacher that taught all of us kids how to read and write music, like actually notate it
Wow.
and what the notes meant and what they're called when they go together in different configurations. So
In
um,
elementary school.
in elementary school, yeah. By the end of fourth grade, I knew how to interpret like what was happening in those hymns
Yeah.
and why it sounded like it sounded.
Well, Brian, we need that. We don't really have that musical education anymore. It
Yeah,
seems
it's
like
missing.
a lot of that stuff goes away, like when you start to produce budgets for public schooling and things like that, unfortunately. But
Yeah,
man, what a gift that was that you were given as a child to have that sort of musical education. That's
yeah,
amazing.
yeah. I feel like I was lucky, like, the last little delicious drop of that kind of stuff going on in public schools. So yeah.
Yeah. So when did you put your first record out?
So that was released in 2022. It was delayed by the pandemic. So we
Mhm.
started recording right before the pandemic. We got a song called "Oh Dear Me" done, and then the rest of it had to wait until after the pandemic. September of 22 is when we released it. I think we were done recording by March of 22. So all this stuff takes a long time for me. It takes me a while to like
Anything
collect the
good
money to
does.
do it, first of all, and then it takes me a while to feel like I'm ready to like really let it go. It takes
Yeah.
me a while to decide what I think I've actually produced because, like I was explaining a little bit earlier, songwriting, there's a part of it that's like doing some shadow work, really. Like,
Yeah.
so I kind of need to take a minute to listen and come to terms with what I think that I have said uh, in it because
Yeah.
people are going to ask, and I think it's best if we all gather our own opinions. That's the best art inspires that.
Right. Right.
But, you know, I think it's important to have one once you release something to the world. Think you know what you did.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, when people do ask you about your music, are you pretty open with sharing your interpretations and your stories? Or I know there are a lot of musicians who would rather just say like it means what it means to you, like what that song means. Like once I put it out there, it's yours to interpret in whatever way you bring your life influences to it, and what it means is whatever it means to you. Like I
Yeah.
don't want to take away from that, like your ability to take something that I've made and make it yours. Like I don't want
Yes.
to
Well,
deprive you of that.
yeah. So okay. There are a couple ways to answer this. I'm very open to talking with songwriters
Hmm.
about. Let me start from a different direction. Okay, songwriting is more, in my opinion, a craft of deciding what to leave out than
Hmm.
deciding what to put in. So it is intentionally, even when you're telling stories with people's names and you're putting in a lot of details, like there's a lot of breathing room that is left in even a great lyric. And I
Sure.
love that about songwriting. So I don't really feel worried that I'm going to stamp out somebody else's opinion by telling them what was on my mind
Right.
when I was writing because I didn't really write the whole thing. What was on my mind? Well, only about 10% of it made it into the
Sure.
song,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, And some of the stuff that was on my mind, it just informs the song in a less rational way. Sometimes songs roll out so fast that I don't even know what they're about until I start to feel it with the music, or maybe even sometimes on stage. So yeah, I don't. The other thing is like, if I'm in a conversation about a song and somebody asks me what it's about, I do like to hear them say. I'd like it to be a conversation.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't really like to just steamroll in with, well, I'm glad you asked. Here, let me tell you, I'm proselytizing now.
Oh, I think that's really cool. So I know you do. I mean, you're kind of a solo artist, but you've got some support. You've got some musicians that you collaborate with. You want to talk about some of that and shout out
Yeah,
some people that you've worked with on some
yeah,
of the music?
yep. So in Cleveland, on the first album, I was very privileged to work with Justin Gorski, who is a great talent, great keyboard player, encyclopedic knowledge of like the American songbook and the great songwriters. His project is called Big Hoke. I picked him because I could just, his personality comes loud, like comes through strong from the material that he's produced. And I needed to find somebody who had completed their own projects since I had never gone into the studio before and completed mine. So I'm very grateful for Justin for saying yes. Um, he helped me gather the musicians that played on that record, who were Ray Flanagan and Ed Stevens, and Dave Shaw was the engineer, and Dave even had a lot of creative input on the record. My own friend Matt Schieferstein played drums on it, and Matt is somebody who still sometimes plays shows with me when I'm looking for a drummer in Cleveland. So, but after completing this second album, I was looking for a band who could go on the road more often. And so I've been playing live shows with Josh Donato, who among other things runs a great weekly jam on Wednesday nights at Spotlight Cleveland.
Oh yeah.
So any of your listeners who want to get into the music scene as players, go to Josh's jam. You're going to meet a lot of people there every Wednesday at Spotlight Cleveland. Good
Wow, cool. That's a
music
great tip.
community is being gathered there. So Josh plays with me. I've done some shows with Lovest Watson and Greg Garlock in Cleveland, especially. They're big veterans, playing a bunch of bands there. And I've recently tried to start putting together some support on drums and bass in Cincinnati with Jackie Hauser and Evan Krimpenforth down here. I haven't been in Cincinnati. I've been in Cincinnati now about a year. So, I mean, ideally, I like to move around. I would like to be playing all throughout Ohio, through Kentucky, Nashville, Knoxville. Eventually, I haven't been able to crack the code in Indiana yet. I don't know. I don't really understand how booking works there. It seems like the venues that I eventually want to find there are not in the big cities there, which is interesting challenge, like tracking them all down and
Yeah.
figuring out how to get people to come out. So,
Yeah. So
but yeah, I'm trying to put together like a cadre of musicians who I can depend on all throughout this footprint that I'm trying to build out.
yeah. So obviously, like realizing that you have a song in your head and putting it down on paper and then working it out musically, putting the music, discovering what it means to you, all of that is a very intrinsic, internal sort of process in a lot of ways. Very different from the external process of like taking it out and presenting it to an audience. Was that a natural thing for you to do, or was what was that transition like for you?
Well, I'm definitely lucky with the internal part. I'm a big introvert. And what I mean by that is it's not that I don't like spending time with people, it's that it is exhausting.
Yeah.
Like I need long periods of time recuperating on my own. And so I don't mind being isolated really and writing at all. And rehearsing is
Yeah.
another, I don't mind that at all. And I think if you don't have that, it's hard for me to imagine how you get good, really good playing an instrument or composing if you don't like spending time alone, because you're going to have to do that. There's a certain amount of woodshedding that goes into it. So getting that shot of whatever it is, that euphoria from a live performance, though, yeah, I like that a lot too. And I think what I've discovered is my favorite part of it is getting to meet all these other bands, splitting these shows with other bands. Like the band camaraderie that happens after you've played a really good show and you know it because the audience is telling you so. I love the band camaraderie. I really do. And I've even found that like I'm liking becoming like this elder member of the scene because like, you're playing with these younger people who for some of them this is like it's the first good band that they've been in. And
Right.
they're just getting their first shot of like this is working.
Right.
And I really like being there to be like, yes, keep being creative, like keep pushing yourself, like don't cave into the trends, like unless you want to, like I don't care if you want to, go for it.
Yeah.
But like a lot of us don't want to, and a lot of us just want to find ways to like keep doing the thing that is making us want to do it in the first
Right.
place.
To be authentically
So
you, to
yeah,
to have what comes out of you
yeah,
being what, you know, what is inside you, like not
yeah,
tainted or colored in any way by like some outside influence that isn't authentic or
yeah,
unique. Yeah, I get
yeah,
that. So I think that's great. You talk about the camaraderie, like on the music scene and stuff. I think that's incredible. I gotta admit, I was trolling your Instagram a little bit before this interview, and I noticed that you had posted about a band that asked you to play keyboards for them.
yes.
Tell me about that. That sounds like a
Okay,
great.
so I have started to do these posts where I'm doing like shout outs.
Yeah,
And, it's inspired by exactly what I just said. It's like I'm
yeah,
starting to feel this band camaraderie. Like you said, like I think before we started recording, we were just talking about like the massive amount of creativity that's going on in original music.
yeah,
And it's not just Ohio, like these small markets, like they're full of super creative people who, like I said, are not tracking at all with current trends and couldn't care less.
yeah.
And
Right.
I love that. I love that. And I think we ought to start banging our own gong about that.
Absolutely.
Especially in Ohio, where you have these three pretty big cities that, these music scenes don't have to be as isolated from each other as they
Yeah.
sometimes operate.
Yep.
So, yeah, so I started to do these shout outs.
I'm glad that you're doing that. I think that's awesome. That's what we like to do here too. We like to bang
Yeah,
gongs and we like to promote some of these bands that are out there just kind of huffing it and just like,
right.
doing their thing and just being
Yeah,
themselves and just creating great art and, making people feel things. I think that's
yes.
awesome.
Yeah. So case in point, Saturn Batteries. They're a band from Cincinnati. Great writing. Great writing. But
Yeah.
I met Brad, the main writer, shortly after I moved to town. I actually was like panicking trying to find some local support for my first show in town,
Mm.
and a local band bailed on me. So I had to find somebody really quick. So I found Brad, and it didn't work out because I needed a band, and he only had a solo thing going on at the time. But he's come to a lot of my shows, and we've become friends. And I admit that I had not really listened to maybe more than a couple of his songs. And he asked me to back up the band on keyboards. So I was like, sure, like I'm trying to meet people in town and Brad is my friend. So yes. So I knew I was signing up for, like, I knew I was putting myself in a little bit of a pickle because I had 2 weeks before the show and one week was completely wiped out with like some rehearsals of my own and I can't remember what I was doing, but so I didn't even listen to the music until a few days before. And I'm listening to it and I'm like, oh my God, I love this. Like I don't just
Yeah.
like this, I love it. And now I am so like excited to do this show.
Yeah.
And I wish we were doing more than 6 songs.
Yeah.
So everybody go listen to Saturn Batteries. The songs are great. And it was yet another example, Rob, of this thing that I'm talking about, like this band camaraderie thing. Like to get on stage with a band who is, your peers and who you are legitimately excited to be playing with. It's like what a blessing when you don't have to exaggerate at all in saying that like this material is great and I'm very proud to be up here doing this and everybody should come to this show.
Right, right. Oh man, I get that feeling so much. Even just doing this, like meeting people like you through the podcast and through the photographic shows and things like that. Like I never really, I had a sense of it, but like I never really thought about it all that much. But how insulated you get, like in your own sort of like world, and like listening to music that I've always listened to, and a lot of the music I discover is through the bands that I've listened to for 30 years and music that they listen to. And so you get in sort of like a silo in a sense, and you don't really know what's out there,
Yeah.
and like just meeting people. Like I'm the kind of person, like you, I meet people and I sort of like, I start to listen to their music and I think, wow, this is something that like, I'm really glad I discovered it. And like, I tend to become like really fast fans
Yeah.
like a really fast fan of like a lot of the people that I end up talking to in meeting. And so I'm like, wow, okay, add this to the catalog now. This is in the
Yeah.
rotation. Like my Spotify like playlist is gonna be like epic by the end of this year. I'm telling you, because it's just been one thing after another, just discovering these just really incredible artists doing really great things.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
man. Really, really, really cool. So, okay, tell us about some shows you got coming up.
Okay, so I mentioned Justin Gorski and Big Hoke. Uh, Justin and I will be splitting a show at Cleveland Spotlight. I also mentioned Cleveland Spotlight. If this podcast is out by the 14th of November, you know,
Yeah.
I highly recommend this show, not just for the bands, but for the venue as well. Like, it is a place, this is a place that means a lot to the Cleveland music community, even though it's only been open for a short time. It's really becoming a gathering point. So I'm proud to be playing there. I'm thrilled to be playing with Justin. It's going to be a fun, rambunctious night of really good music.
Yeah, I hope to get to
On
that. I'm going to try to
Friday,
get to that.
Friday the 14th of November.
Awesome.
I have a show at Musica in Akron with a great like jam band called Sauce
Yeah.
on the 29th of November, so the Saturday after Thanksgiving. I don't know if this will be out by the 3rd of October, but I'm opening for a band called The Early from Michigan. They're on a DIY tour. That'll be on the front stage at Brothers Lounge. So I think those are the only ones that I've got. I mean, as far out, January 9th, I'll be back in Cincinnati at Motor Pub with the Funky Ducks and Sundial from Fort Wayne.
So you've hit some cool venues. You've met some cool bands along the way and stuff. What's one of your favorite places that you've played and like why? And what's a place that is still on your list? Like I have to play there
Oh,
eventually.
okay,
Like
okay, good.
make that
That's an
kind of
excellent
thing.
question. Okay, I really, okay. I feel bad. I don't want to, when somebody asks me my favorite, I feel like I'm slighting everybody I don't
Yeah,
mention.
yeah,
But
no, I get you. But let's not say favorite. Let's just say something that's really like stood out as a highlight to you, like
okay,
in your
so I think I
touring
love,
history.
here's what I love about Motor Pub in Cincinnati and why I single it out. So it's in over the Rhine. Cincinnati is like, it's not just a great party district in Ohio, it's a great party district in North America. And if you don't like my word for it, magazines say the same thing. Like, you can go out on the internet and see if some magazine has said this. They have. So you've got a high traffic, cool, all year round party district in a big city. And Motor is in that district doing free shows. So you get, well, with a small guarantee for the bands. So you get a lot of foot traffic there randomly. And so you get a lot of new fans there. And for a
Oh, that's
band that
great.
is starting out or new in town, like, that is such a sweet deal. I'm
Yeah,
very impressed with this business model. So
that's great. That's
yeah,
great. Who needs Broadway in Nashville when you got that?
right. So I love Motor. A stage that if I ever play it, I will feel like I leveled up is the Burl in Lexington.
Yeah.
So I've got some friends that are in bands that are like have been starting to get opening shows for touring bands at the Burl, and I'm very envious.
Yeah.
Yes, the Burl. When I start opening for touring acts at the Burl, I will feel like I accomplished something, you
I'm
know?
glad you said when because we manifest
Yeah.
stuff on this show, so
Yeah.
that's great.
Yes.
What is a big touring band that you'd love to be attached to? Something that you feel like you would just meld well with, that you just your style would just match up really, you know,
Okay.
synchronistic.
Somebody like the level that plays at the Burl or just anybody? You
Anybody, just
So
think
I'm going to be
big, be big.
grandiose. I'm going to be grandiose,
Yeah, be big.
ridiculous and grandiose. And you might not hear it based on what I have put out yet, but what I am about to put out, you'll hear it.
Yeah.
I think I would make a good opener for Arcade Fire.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Tell me
You
why.
know,
Tell me.
just the creativity. People tell me all the time what they like about me is all my songs are different from each other.
Hmm?
I feel like Arcade Fire has a similar thing. Like you listen to them and you're like, they could go in any direction at any time.
Yeah.
And they also do these like they reach these their songs have a lot of I don't even want to say dynamic range, although they do, but they have a great way of like building this mountain and then taking you to the top of the mountain with them and letting you like look out over the vast expanse.
Yeah.
So
That's
and
really cool.
I know I'm capable of the same.
Yeah.
I have a lot of growing to do in terms of the ensemble on stage, but yeah, I'd say that's my that kind of thing would be my grandiose goal.
That's great. That's awesome. All right, now I want
Uh,
to go into a segment where we talk about. Yeah, I asked you for your top 5 albums, so I want you to talk about those. So take them one by one. You got a reference there? You remember what we?
yeah, I remember. Okay, so I feel boring for these being my top albums, but I'll start with the honest one. Okay, boring but honest. Boring but honest. I think Dark Side of the Moon is the best album. I'm sorry that everybody else thinks so or has to take sort of a militant no way opinion about it. You have to reckon with it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry we all have to reckon with this, and then I'm going on podcasts saying it's the best. But I
I
just
respect that stance.
yeah, it just it does everything. Like the way that all the different instruments take a solo throughout and the elisions between the songs and the like they do like what I talked about. It's like they have like the songs like sort of lay themselves out in a very simple way, but then they build this giant crescendo into it. I just think it's fantastic.
Yeah,
It's the blueprint is the problem, you know?
yeah, right,
It's well, you
absolutely.
can't get away from it, and it's hard for me as somebody who can like hear a lot of old influences, even in contemporary things, to like recognize. It's just like there's a lot of great contemporary music. I hasten to throw 2015 out there as what a golden year for like breakthrough indie rock, you know. But you know, as long as we're reckoning with Dark Side of the Moon, it's hard for me to say that there's something that throws it off its pedestal.
Yeah, I hear that. All right, what's next?
Okay, so I don't feel like I have to defend a lot of the rest of these as quite as much. So I think Currents by Tame Impala is great. I think it is done. I love the impact that it's made on pop music. I think pop music is better for having Currents out. So that's one that I deeply, deeply admire. I think that Bridge Over Troubled Water, like so when you go around telling people these days that you're a singer-songwriter, usually they think of like a, a guy or a girl with an acoustic guitar
Yeah,
singing these extremely like honest songs about real things that you can put your hands on. Well, it used to be that singer songwriter didn't always mean that. And sometimes it meant something a lot more grand,
right.
like you hear on Bridge Over Troubled Water. And I think that, like, Bridge Over Troubled Water, in my opinion, is still like the apex of that more grand style. Again, because, like, you don't know which direction the next song is going on that album.
Right.
It's so wonderful. But they're all glorious, you know? And ambitious, even when they're silly. Like we were talking about this earlier, like the little bit of the lightheartedness is in that album as well, which I
Yeah,
really like.
yeah.
Okay, so that's another one. Surprise on the list is I think that Trail Songs and Gunfighter Ballads by Marty Robbins is bulletproof. Bulletproof. I don't want to turn it off. When I hear one song from that album, I want to hear them all. Like it's such a like it is a vibe that is very retro. Like it feels so 50s, and
Hmm.
it is so you can't do it anymore. You can't even get there with irony anymore. Like it is untouchable now. Like that type of nobody can do anything as free of irony as that album, and that's what makes it so wonderful.
Impenetrable. That's
Yes,
yeah.
love it. Okay, I might maybe I do forget what my fifth one is.
Uh,
Songs from the Big Chair. Songs from the Big Chair. Tears for Fears. Another one that probably makes a lot of people's lists, especially people who produce music. But I don't know. I mean, those songs are so powerful and catchy. So it's one thing when you can just develop a hook and make it just eat people's brains and you don't care much about the uplift part of it. I feel like Tears for Fears cared about the uplift part of it. It's like we
right.
need these hooks not just to work as hooks, but to like make people feel something powerful.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's what I love about that album.
Great picks, man. I can't argue with any of them. That's great, great list there. Thanks for running through those. I appreciate it.
Sure.
Yeah, and thanks for coming on and talking about your music too. I really
Yeah.
hope
Thanks for
people
having me.
listen to this and discover it and dive into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and get out and see
Thank
you
you for,
at one of those shows coming up.
I hope so. Yeah. Thank you for, and also thank you for letting me shout out some other artists. Keep your eye on my Instagram. You might find other people you'd want to interview because, like,
Absolutely, I'm
yeah,
all over that. So yeah, and if you get an opportunity to to drop the podcast like
I definitely will.
whenever
100% will.
you meet someone at a show or something like that, if you can send them my way, I would love that.
Okay. Will.
All right,
Yep.
Brian. Thanks so
Thanks,
much,
Rob.
man. It's been really fun.
Yeah.
Been
I'm glad we
really-
met. Thank you
Yeah,
for this.
yeah. And I'll see you at one of these shows. I certainly
Yes.
will.
I'll see you when I'm in town. Yeah.
All
All
right,
right.
Brian. Thanks, man.
Night. Bye.
See ya.
I'm Brian Bacon, legend still in the making, and my ETA is my remaining calendar of shows for 2025 in Cleveland on the 14th of November at Spotlight and in Akron on the 29th of November at Musica. I'd love to meet you. Be there.
I'm Addison,
And I'm Ray, and we're the band Rose Colored World.
and our everything after is music, is healing, and it's medicine.
Hi, I'm Ruby Ray from Nashville, Tennessee, and my ETA is Memphis Honey, the new single out now.
All right, cool. Hey, this is Scott from Kerosene Stars, and my ETA is kerosenestars.com.
This is Kevin Bang, and I'm writing songs and recording some songs. And my everything after is basically what I'm doing now. So creating music to reach other people and finding purpose in that music, because purpose is like oxygen and creative purpose is like supercharged oxygen. So this is me just kind of with my oxygen mask on, trying to connect with folks, because maybe some of the things that I share are things that they've felt, and it can help to validate those feelings, and they can appreciate the songs.